Oh my God, it's great to be back. It's perfect time with all this news coming out. Just to recap quickly, you got Kevin Gruder confirmed to come back. There's rumors of the writers of Saw 6 coming back. You have, of course, Mark Hoffman confirmed, Peterson confirmed, Tobin Bell confirmed. You had that Costas Mandalore post that pretty much confirmed that the focus will be the relationship between Jigsaw Kramer and Hoffman right before things obviously spiraled to what they became. So this is going to be crucial. It's going to be an incredible sequel with all those little details coming out. Supposedly filming is supposed to start in March, which is a perfect setup for a September 27th release. A lot of Saw, most of the majority of Saw movies use practical effects, aren't using heavy VFX or CGI effects. So it actually makes for an efficient filming process, especially with the experience that these people have already. You know, they already have the bathroom built up. That's the beauty of having a successful movie right before. Like a follow up movie always benefits from that original having all the setup. So I just want to get straight into this horror sauce theory because it's a wonderful theory. And you know, these Saw movies always end on an incredible run, an incredible twist, and it's hard to continuously come up with twists when you have so many fans dissecting all these theories going onto YouTube, and pretty much we can figure things out, you know, beforehand. So it takes a pure genius, great writing that can take you away from the actual apprentice or the twist itself. And I thought Saw X had some wonderful twists, but I'm mostly referring to that end all twist that shocks you completely. And the theory that they have come up with, Horror Sauce, and they're an incredible couple. They have so much passion behind the Saw franchise. So I just really think that this does have some feasibility. And if there's any way that they could pull off this theory that Amanda somehow was saved by Hoffman, for whatever reason, I'm gonna dive into what's much more likely to have happened if he did in fact save her. Why did he save her? Right? Because he absolutely set her up to die anyway or to fail her game. Did he know the details completely of the game? So did he necessarily set her up to die? We don't know that, but we definitely know he set her up to fail the game. So why would he have saved her? So I'm gonna dive into, recap the events that happened in chronological order so we can get into the perspective and so we could get into the room, literal room of that warehouse. Number one, Rick fails his game while Hoffman removes himself from the chair of the final trap, exposing his association with Jigsaw to a dying Rick. He then crosses over to the other side of the Gideon warehouse to lock the room where Jigsaw and Amanda played their final game with Dr. Dillon to enclose Strom inside. Number two, Strom discovers a tape after he discovers the hidden door used by Hoffman previously. Hoffman knocks Strom out and places him in a game that's designed to kill him. Hoffman comes out with Dr. Dillon's daughter when the police arrive. Strom survives the game, surprising Hoffman, so the only survivors who has been established in canon so far were those two. Number three, Hoffman had just told Fisk, quote unquote, nobody made it, right before Strom came busting out the warehouse. So this confirms his intentions was to kill Strom in the trap. That pretty much sums up the relevant moments to focus on to see how feasible this theory from Horror Sauce can be. Additionally, I don't remember her name or her death being brought up after those events in any movie since. And I've seen this franchise multiple times. I can promise you I don't remember her body being brought up, anything connected to her death being brought up. So I wonder why that is. A couple of observations that I want to add. Number one, Hoffman was in the same position Kramer will be potentially in Saw 11. Strom had to find the evidence on Hoffman, so it was more of a cat and mouse scenario. But if Hoffman followed Jigsaw's teachings, he would have given Strom a legitimate chance and would have had to face a person who would have known of his involvement. Strom would have known instantly that it was Hoffman, so that's why Hoffman opted to eliminate him. It seems Jigsaw would have to deal with Cecilia, but he gave her a proper chance to win a game, and she did just that. So we know without a shadow of a doubt that Kramer pondered this outcome, so he knew his identity would be figured out by Cecilia herself. She put it together with her hands being in multiple countries, and the inference comes from her grand apparatus in Mexico. That illustrates high funding, large international partners that have a system put in place, so she probably pays attention to American affairs. That would be the reason she could piece together that he was Jigsaw, an infamous serial killer. Don't ever forget that. He is infamous, and people would have known about him, and that story would have spread. It's a crazy story. Number two, it seems that the police took some time to arrive into the scene, at least enough time for Hoffman to play Strom in the game and retrieve Corbett. How much time? Does he have enough time to save Amanda, play Strom in the game, and save Corbett, all before police and the FBI arrive? That's the question. The order of the potential events that could happen are, if he did in fact save her, would be number one, Hoffman places Strom in his game, then he gets the epiphany to save her. So he attempts just that, her as an Amanda. After resuscitating her, he covers her wounds and finds a secret area to hide her that won't be found by law enforcement. The room where Corbett was captured could be in a tunnel below the floor of that warehouse. The logic would be to avoid Dr. Dillon from hearing her daughter, hence revealing the true intentions that the game was actually designed for Amanda. Amanda didn't know Corbett was Dillon's daughter. She was only told that it was Jeff's daughter. It would also allow Amanda from being captured by law enforcement during the crime scene investigation. So that is what Hoffman opted to do. That would give him enough time to save both Amanda for his own benefit and save Corbett to appear as the hero in the end. After some time, Hoffman is able to check on Amanda, help her to recovery, which builds their trust in one another. Ultimately, the reveal happens when she finally saves Hoffman in the bathroom. Now, I want to tackle some possible ways this theory will be difficult to pull off. As I see it, Strom saw Amanda's dead body right before entering the secret door, so he knows she was there. But Strom gets rushed to the hospital before providing witness testimony. I'd assume that the moment Erickson tells Strom he will be placed on medical leave was the following day, so Strom was occupied with the life of Agent Perez. Agent Perez's blood seemed fresh enough to assume that it wasn't long after that night, not to mention he was recovering from his own trap. I say all of this to convey that he must have reported about his findings in some form, and the mention of Amanda would have been a very key detail. We have not been privy to this conversation if it happened quite yet, but that would have to be reconciled with. For this theory, the focus is on the potential oversight from the leaders in the department if they failed to get witness testimony from one of the leading FBI agents. He was also removed from the case for the recklessness he showed going to the Gideon warehouse without backup. Erickson took over reins of the investigation, meaning he would be responsible for the evidence gathering and protection. We know the police department reported a specific number of found bodies retrieved that night, but trusting public release reports as gospel would be foolish. Hoffman would have controlled what was released to the public, and considering Amanda's death was never publicized about, one must ponder the reason why that's the case. Did Erickson not rely on his testimony during the time he believed Strom was the accomplice? Erickson would need to reprise his role in order for this twist to have the impact it needs. There would be a lot of moving parts that could harm the way we get to the twist. Having the coroner from the franchise make a return would be awesome too, because I'd assume he would be the one tasked with performing the autopsies for these reports. To conclude, Hoffman and Strom must have reported their findings. So did Strom omit Amanda's body from this report, forgot to mention it, or did he report it? Other theories, all the ideas I could think of some sort of motivation for Hoffman to save Amanda would be Amanda's letter from Hoffman was initially inside of an envelope prepared by Kramer. So maybe Kramer had some responsibilities for Amanda to handle in the bathroom, or Kramer left a secret note for Hoffman that instructed him to save Amanda if she failed her game. That would allow Hoffman set up on Amanda to stay intact while allowing a logical way that explains why Hoffman would save her after everything he put her through. Did she survive regardless of Hoffman? Did she survive post being put on the ambulance? Was she still breathing? Was she still conscious when they found her? And maybe that's why we never heard of her death, because she didn't die. So just to recap what we just went through, I think the only thing holding this theory back is the execution. The execution is going to be huge and key. Because if you can find a legitimate motivation for Hoffman to, in fact, save Amanda, and I already gave you a potential hole or a potential opening to do so, is the original text, the original message that Jigsaw left for Amanda. That would be a huge idea and a good way to call back to that movie. Is figure out what he had Amanda do, because I'm pretty sure Jigsaw wouldn't have liked Hoffman getting involved in his game. He even knowing that Amanda killed Gideon, he would have put her in a game and gave her a chance to win the game, as he did previously. Remember that Strom did see Amanda's body on the floor. So I think that's one of the holes. That's a legitimate hole in this that will have to be reconciled with. Like, okay, he saw her. He doesn't really mention her because he's focused on Hoffman, maybe because he already assumes Amanda's dead, of course. But I'm saying that is something that more Erickson would have known about. Erickson was much more of the leader of this investigation, so there's not much hiding. But although they did tell us that Perez was dead and she was in fact alive, so again, Erickson, for whatever reason, if he knows of her death or if she survived, that's something that we're not privy to. We haven't been, and I think that could be a holdup too. So I think it has some legitimacy. It has some potential. All in all, if they can explain Hoffman's motivation to save her, if they could somehow bring in that original text from Amanda's original envelope until not until, of course, Hoffman came in and swapped that letter. So it always brings Jigsaw involved. And then you can explain away or give us a legitimate explanation for Strom and Erickson not being aware of Amanda's death or being convinced that she was dead. Then this theory does have some legitimacy. So yeah, I really want to hear your comments and your thoughts. I want to see your follow-up theories to see how we can explain all these holes. There are openings as well, like I explained with that Amanda original letter, or the original intention behind that envelope that Hoffman intercepted. So that there's an explanation there. Maybe he needs to keep her alive for whatever reason. He just can't let her die. Does he have second thoughts? Hey, I don't know, but this has been fun. Please, I want to hear your thoughts because I just want to go back and forth. I want to build this theory for its creativity, and I feel like this is one of those theories that, oh man, if they can really pull it off, it'll be one of the best of the modern movies, for sure, for sure. So shout out to Horror Sauce for coming up with such a great theory, and you have a great day.